Greetings. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is the Book Report. Every time someone uses the term Native American, I always correct them and say American Indian. And that usually gets people upset, the people that are big into political correctness and formalized terms and everything. And they ask me, why don't I use that? And I said, well, a very famous man who I greatly respect said it was nonsense. And they are very indignant about that. And I said, who was that? That was Russell Means. Now, these days, most people don't know who Russell Means was. But I told them, I said, well, Mr. Means was a very educated, very, very passionate man. And he said that Native American applies to anybody born in North America, technically South or Central America as well. American Indian, he was very proud of. And that's because he gave a very detailed explanation, but he pointed out that when Christopher Columbus was coming to the New World, he was not looking for India. He was looking for Hindustan. Now, they still scratch their heads an awful lot, and they say, well, who was Russell Means? I say, that just shows you don't know what you're talking about. Russell Means, if anything, Russell Means was the American Indians' version of George Washington, because he not only gained a great deal of freedom for his people, he pretty much brought them back from the brink of extinction. Russell Means was one of the leading activists, if not almost borderline terrorists, of an organization called the American Indian Movement, better known as AIM. He was a passionate American Indian of Lakota Sioux heritage. He was intelligent, smart, well-traveled, politically active, militant, and everything else. He fought for his people, and he won. At least pretty good victory by most standards. The book I'm talking about is the classic Where White Men Fear to Tread, the autobiography of Russell Means. Now, Mr. Means is no longer with us, but his story is fascinating, as is the tale of the American Indian in the latter half of the 20th century. Now, even though today we get caught up in DEI and you have to have so many people of so many different ethnicities, in reality, the American Indian was really, really messed over with, but not just in the 1800s, but in the 1900s. In the 1950s, the U.S. federal government wanted to take all the Indians and put them off reservations and put them in cities. And about half of them ended up that way. It's a long and very sad tale, in every way just as tragic as what happened to them in the 1800s. Anyway, back in the 1960s, a handful of American Indians in prison said enough and said they were going to fight back. And they started an organization called AIM, A-I-M. And they did all sorts of things. If there was one of their people that was arrested, they descended on a town like an army. Their biggest conflict was in 1973 at Wounded Knee, South Dakota, where they held off the FBI for months and exchanged gunfire regularly. It was a wild time. Now, what happened as a result of that and Mr. Means was the American Indian was brought back from the brink of extinction, brought back from oblivion. And today, if you're an American Indian, you have your own museum in Washington, D.C., run by the Smithsonian. And in times of war, your tribes will get together for powwows. That happened in Iraq. All the tribes got together. American Indians now have their own sovereignty. They have income from casinos and resorts. And it's all because of this man, who isn't given the credit he was due. And you know something? They're trying to replace people on the money these days. Andrew Jackson, for example. They want to replace him with Harriet Tubman. I don't think that's a good choice. You want to hear something? You want to put somebody on the $20 bill? Put Russell Means on it. This is a great book. It's long, it's detailed. It doesn't just cover his life and how he grew up during the World War II years. It talks about the entire movement and also how he helped with Native tribes in Central and South America. Fascinating story. This man was into computers before they were a known thing. A very spiritual man. Sadly, never given the recognition he was due. But not too long before he passed away, he was testifying in front of Congress a man who at one point was in prison and under the custody of the FBI. His is an amazing story. And this is why I never use the term Native American. I use the term American Indian. The book is, of course, available in hardcover and softcover. It came out in 1995, is still in print, and has gone through many printings. There is an audible version of the book, but it is abridged. It's not as detailed as the book, and it was done by Mr. Means, who, among his many talents, one of them was not a narrator. But if you want to listen to it, it can be a lot of fun. It's available just about everywhere. It's also available in Kindle and other electronic book formats. It's a must-read for anyone interested in how the American Indian was able to bring themselves back from extinction, but also as a guidebook for any other people or any other culture or any other race that is under threat. These people fought back. They didn't give up. They made great sacrifices, and they won. So you can fight the federal government and be victorious in the end. Again, the book is Where White Men Fear to Tread, the autobiography of Russell Means. It's published by St. Martin's Griffin. The current edition came out on January 1st, 1995, and has had many printings since. A must-read, great book to have. And remember, use the term American Indian with pride. Russell Means did. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends and share with their enemies, especially if they don't use the terminology right when it comes to American Indians. I can be reached at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. The address there is aureliancolumn.substack.com, and you can reach me there by private message. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, keep reading and never judge a book by its movie. Good day.